Stingo Splash, Aiden Wilson. So guys, today we're just going to be going over the NFL's 2019 top 100 players, and we're only going to be looking at the top 10 players for that list and discussing if the NFL really got that top 10 list correct. So before we actually get started to the debate and stuff, I'm gonna name the actual top 10 list that the NFL has provided. At number 10, they have outside linebacker Von Miller. At number 9, wide receiver Julio Jones. At number 8, quarterback Aaron Rodgers. At number 7, wide receiver Antonio Brown. At number 6, quarterback Tom Brady. At number 5, running back Todd Gurley. At number 4, quarterback Patrick Mahomes. At number 3, defensive end / outside linebacker Khalil Mack. At number 2, quarterback Drew Brees. And at number 1, defensive tackle Aaron Donald. So guys, what are your thoughts about this top 10 list that the NFL has ranked?
I feel like they got the top 5 right, but the rest of the list is it's not right.
So like when you look at the top, or say the top from 10 all the way to 6, you got Von Miller, Julio Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Antonio Brown, and Tom Brady. So what is it you not like about those guys? Is it their placement? Is it the order that it's in? Is it that some of those guys shouldn't be in the top 10?
Some of them shouldn't be in the top 10.
So like who?
Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, I definitely agree with that. I feel like the NBA, the NFL, and all those analysts and everybody always thinks so highly of Aaron Rodgers when he didn't even make the playoffs last year. I know he only threw 2 interceptions and had a pretty sound year.
I disagree.
Would you disagree with what?
Aaron Rodgers, he a GOAT, man. He been doing it in his top 10.
So has Tom Brady.
Yeah, but Tom Brady has a championship.
I'm biased with Tom Brady because I just don't like
top 10 is an individual.
I just don't like Tom Brady.
Competition.
To me, he's not in there.
Okay, so who else would you not put in the top 10?
I mean, who else would I not put in the top 10? Julio Jones.
Crazy.
Okay, so who do you think, if you take a look at this list, who do you think should not be in this top 10 if there's somebody that you don't think? Because for me, I agree with Aiden. I think Julio Jones.
I say Von Miller.
Okay, see, I thought about that because I think Julio Jones, Aaron Rodgers they're great players, but I don't think they're that top 10 material, especially last year. Julio Jones had a great year, but he did have 9 drops. And one of my problems is that DeAndre Hopkins wasn't in the top 10. He had no drops.
He was short. He was short. One short. He should have been in the top 10.
How is that not? How does that not happen? His team makes the playoffs. He has a phenomenal year as a wide receiver, and Julio Jones is ahead of him. I think if you switch DeAndre Hopkins with Julio Jones, I think that makes the list a little bit better. And then, of course, J.J. Watt being number 12, I think J.J. Watt definitely could have slipped into the top 10, maybe at the top, at the 10 or 9 spot, and get Aaron Rodgers out of there, in my opinion. But a lot of people say, Aaron Rodgers is great, but
I don't disagree, but his spot.
Yeah.
He could have been number 9.
But I think the thing that's indisputable for sure is Aaron Donald being a number 1.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because, this guy has 20 and a half sacks and 25 tackles for loss on the season and 41 hits on quarterbacks. That is insane for us, especially defensive tackle, which is way harder to get sacks and quarterback hits than it is from a defensive end and an outside linebacker standpoint. Yeah. And Aiden, you play defense, as do I, and you've played defense before in your football career. So what are some of these defensive players like? Which ones really stand out to you? Which ones do you think rank the highest on this?
Out of all the defensive players?
Besides Aaron Donald, so you got guys like Khalil Mack and J.J. Watt, Von Miller. Like, which one of those guys to you stands out the most? Which one of those guys, if you had a draft, which one of those guys would you take?
Out of all of those? Probably Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack, why?
Why? He's a dog.
You do everything, coverage.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so you play quarterback right now, so these receivers, these 3 big receivers, you got DeAndre Hopkins, Antonio Brown, and Julio Jones. You're a quarterback. You get to pick one of those receivers. Which receiver are you going to pick? Out of those 3. I guess it kind of depends.
That's a good question.
I guess it kind of depends on
because they all good.
And they all bring different elements to the table. Like Antonio Brown's 5'10". He's a little shorter. He's very quick, very athletic, and very good playmaker. But so is DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones at a much taller and bigger size. So it depends on how your team looks, but you got to pick one of those guys. Which one are you going with?
I'm going DeAndre Hopkins, just like that.
No drops. That's
no drop.
That's your main job on the receiver, not to drop a pass.
Yes, and he didn't drop 1 pass. he had 2 fumbles, but fumbles, whatever. They're not good, but
and he got hands.
Yeah, 0 drops for a receiver. That's almost
go up for the ball.
That's almost an impossible stat. I've never even heard of somebody getting 100. 0 no drops.
D-Hop gonna complain if you don't get the ball. It's different when AB. You can get a whole sob story, bro. I'm wide open. Okay, sometimes the quarterback don't see when he sees something else. Sometimes he sees something else.
So let's really talk more about these receivers. Between Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, and Antonio Brown, their statistics and the numbers are really pretty similar. So Jagger, who's going to give me the numbers for these three guys. So for DeAndre Hopkins, he has 115 receptions. He has 1,572 receiving yards. He averages about 13.7 yards a catch, which is really about 14. And then his yards per game, I can't really read that, which I assume is 98. Right, 98.2 is that what you wrote, okay? And then for touchdowns, he has 11 touchdowns, but here's what really stands out, no drop passes. Out of all his receptions, no drops, which looks really good on paper. For Julio Jones, he has 113 receptions, which is too short to DeAndre Hopkins. His yards are more than DeAndre Hopkins at 1,677 receiving yards. He averages about 15 yards a catch, and his yards per game is 105, about 105, and his touchdowns are 8. But he has 9 drops and 2 fumbles. So, right there, that's a little. But his numbers, his yards, his average, and his yards per game are more than DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah. And for Antonio Brown, he's 104 receptions, 1,200, and I'm not sure, is that 97 or 17?
97.
1,297 yards. He has about a 13 yard average per catch, and he averaged this year 86.5 yards a game with 15 touchdowns and 3 drops. So most touchdowns goes to Antonio Brown, most receptions goes to DeAndre Hopkins, most yards goes to Julio Jones, the average per catch goes to Julio Jones, and the average for a game goes to Julio Jones. So
okay, now I can see why they're ranked.
Yeah. Now that I've read these stats, I can see why they put Julio Jones in there as high as they did. So I don't know now if I would put DeAndre Hopkins into the top 10 now. Because
stats.
But stats might be it's still better than AB, so.
But AB had 15 touchdowns and less drops than Julio Jones. So me and you both said earlier that Julio Jones doesn't deserve to be in the top 10 for this year. But now that we looked at the numbers, do you still think he doesn't need to be in the top 10 and that D-Hop should replace him?
I mean, I don't know. Now I look at the stats, but I mean, if you're not a sports analyst and you didn't put this together, your opinion is always gonna be biased. That's all I'm gonna say.
Because he is a Texans fan, guys.
Exactly.
So he's probably gonna. I mean, I'm a Steelers fan. I mean,
nobody from the Steelers in the top tier, bro.
Well, no, Antonio Brown.
You played for the Raiders, bro.
No, but that counts as last year.
Yeah.
He's still for the Steelers.
But, oh well.
Hey.
But yeah, so back to the receivers. I mean, I still think DeAndre Hopkins.
Was that no drops?
No drops really gets it for me.
Yeah, because to be honest, if you didn't go to the playoffs, you should be in the list, the top 10.
Why you say that?
Cause AB not a top 10 receiver. 11. He is 11, bro.
If you look at
D-Hop
top 10 receiver, or top 10.
Wait, so you said
top 10 overall. There we go, top 10 overall.
So you said if
you're a top 10
is
receiver,
an individual.
Exactly. I mean,
it's not about going to the Super Bowl or not.
Wait, you just said if you don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, you just said.
Man, cut that out, bro.
It's like an individual.
You just said if you don't make the playoffs, you're not in the top 10. Why? No, explain.
Yeah.
Because you have guys like pretty much everybody on here made the everybody on here made the playoffs except for
number 10, 9, 8,
Julio Jones and Von Miller. Those guys.
Well, Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown did. Sorry.
Aaron
Rodgers didn't either.
Yeah, that's pretty much. But we're talking about receivers.
But how is it a receivers?
I'm just saying that.
Let's get a little bit off track here because I want to dive more.
Dude, I'm just saying that because he played for the Steelers.
Okay. But you also said Julio Jones, like, oh, he shouldn't be in there because he didn't make the playoffs.
No, I said you should.
I thought they did make the playoffs.
No,
Falcons didn't make the playoffs.
Okay, look at Randy Moss. Arguably the second greatest receiver of all time, correct?
Correct.
Did he win a Super Bowl? No. Is it his fault? Kinda, but not really.
Not really. It's a team
You can't blame. I know, but a receiver's a little bit different because you can't necessarily blame a receiver for not being successful in terms of playoffs and championship wins. Because the defense comes into it, and if a receiver's like Randy Moss, is producing big numbers and they still don't get anything, it's not his fault that they didn't get to a higher place in the championship run.
Yeah.
I still think Julio Jones is not in the top 10, but just because you don't make the playoffs doesn't mean you're not a top 10 player.
You're right. I mean, I still don't believe AB should be. He should be. He should be as ranked as high as he is.
But top 10 or no?
Yeah, he top 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Top 10 because he on my top 10 list. So.
Okay.
Top 10.
I don't have the stats for this guy. I'm sorry, guys, but I just want to say his name. Michael Thomas. Is he a top 10 receiver or not?
He is a top 10 receiver.
I think he's not top 10 overall, but he's top 10
excuse me. Is he a top 10 overall player? Because he's obviously a top 10 receiver. Is he a top 10 overall player?
No.
I think no.
Top 15.
Top 15.
Yeah.
He was ranked 13 this year. All right, so let's move on from the receivers and let's start talking about the quarterbacks because this is what this is what I kind of didn't like from the NFL when I first saw this
They
list.
didn't put Patrick Mahomes in top 2.
If you can rank MVP, you're basically the best player in the NFL for that year. But I mean, you could argue the defensive player of the year, like when a few years ago when J.J. Watt won defensive player of the year and Aaron Rodgers won MVP, should have been another way, or J.J. Watt should have won MVP. But anyway, so Patrick Mahomes had a great year. He threw 50 touchdowns, 5,097 yards. He had a completion rate of 66%, which is phenomenal. He did have 12 picks, but at the weight he was running and gunning and slinging all that. I mean, you're going to throw picks. He's a playmaker. He's going to make plays, but he's also going to make mistakes, kind of like Brett Favre in that sense. He loves to make plays, but he's also going to make mistakes in the matter. And then you have Drew Brees, which is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, had a record-breaking year. He had 74% completion percentage. He had 3,992 yards, 32 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. Diego has some quarterback statistics for some other guys.
Tom Brady had 29 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He had 4,355 yards. I mean, it's probably not as good as the other guys, but
it's a good quarterback year, but it may not be up to Tom Brady's former.
Well, he's getting older. I mean,
he is getting older, and the league is getting pretty tough nowadays.
Yeah.
So, who else? A quarterback? Aaron Rodgers. You read off Aaron Rodgers' stats.
surprisingly had more yards than Tom Brady at 4,442. He had 25 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, which, I mean,
But he didn't make the playoffs. And when we talk about playoffs, between a receiver, excuse me, when you talk about a receiver not making the playoffs and a quarterback not making the playoffs, it's a little bit different because the quarterback is like the leader of the team. I say they call the offense, but they lead the offense.
yeah.
And it really looks bad if a quarterback cannot win a championship. Like say, like Dan Marino compared to Joe Montana. Dan Marino may have a lot of yards and passing records and all that kind of stuff, but in the end, he did not win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Joe Montana won 4. He doesn't have the greatest. No, he has great numbers, but not the greatest of the greatest numbers. But he does have 4 Super Bowls, and winning games does matter. So that also kind of makes Aaron Rodgers for me a little bit lesser. I'm not a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. I do respect what he's done for this game and the things that he's done. And he has won a Super Bowl MVP, all the MVPs and stuff. But I do not think that this year he was a top 10 player.
Nah, I think he was.
His stats show it. But to be
He
honest,
didn't really have no receivers though. He only got
He had to make.
what's that receiver number 17 for the Packers?
Devontae Adams.
yeah.
Yeah,
He had to make out of what he had. I agree with you on that standpoint, but I just think that guys I think J.J. Watt personally should have been in the top 10.
Yes.
But
He had a great comeback season.
J.J. Watt had a phenomenal. I think he should have won comeback player of the year because the injuries he had, those are injuries you don't come back from. Especially at a defensive line position, you don't come back from injuries like that and being successful, being one of the top guys on that defensive front. Say the stats for him.
He had 61 tackles total. He had 16 sacks. He had 4 pass deflections. He had 18 tackles for loss and 7 forced fumbles.
That's up there. Was he second in the league with sacks? I believe second in the league with sacks. So I mean, I think honestly, I wouldn't say take Von Miller out because you have Von Miller's stats, but how many sacks and just say tackles?
He had 48 tackles, 14.5 tackles for loss. 14.5 sacks, 14 forced fumbles, 1 interception, 3 pass deflections.
So yeah, they're pretty similar in that aspect. But I do think J.J. Watt should have been in the top 10. Take Aaron Rodgers out because J.J. Watt is one of the top level defenders. And when we talk about defenders, there's only a few guys in here. I mean, most of them, and all of them actually are from the defensive front. Outside, so you got J.J. Watt. Well, not really in the top 10, but let's see. Von Miller and Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald. That's it. And then you got J.J. Watt bringing up the closest between the other defender. So most of these guys are coming up from the D line. We usually you see either a DB or a corner come into the top, slide into the top 10, top 15. But we didn't see that this year. Why do you think that is?
I don't know, but
Just think there's a lot of offense being played this year. Because there's a lot of defense being played, especially in the Super Bowl. Very low scoring Super Bowl, but usually you do see some DBs in there. But the defensive line this year showed their presence in the top 10.
Jalen Ramsey should have been top 10.
You think so? Well, what was he ranked? Does anybody know?
He like 20.
You can look. I don't know. Is it top 20? I think.
Like top 25. I think he ran like 26.
But and we only have one running back in the top 10.
That's the thing that shocks me.
And Todd Gurley, he had a very good year. He had 1,251 yards, 17.
Number 27.
He's ranked 27.
Yeah.
So Todd Gurley had 17 rushing touchdowns, an average 4.5, which is about 5 yards a carry. And his yards per game average was 89.4, so almost to that 90-yard mark. And he also did it on the receiving end of the offense. He had 59 receptions for 580 yards and 4 touchdowns, which is 2 fewer touchdowns than he had the previous year with 6. And he had fewer receiving yards than he did in 2017. So you think you should have been, it's like say Alvin Kamara, you think he should have been in the top 10?
Yes.
Alvin Kamara should have been top 10.
Top 10.
So
They can do running back, receiver, use versatile.
Okay, what about Saquon? One of the greatest rookie seasons anybody's.
I feel like if he had a
Yeah,
better
but-
line, O-line, he would have better stats.
Nah, not top 10.
Not yet.
That's why
okay,
they're
but
16.
he also didn't make the playoffs either.
I mean, his team was not that good, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also have a good line, so.
With a better O-line, you have better stats.
Yeah,
You can do more.
facts. Like Ezekiel at like
He won top
2015,
10. He won top 10.
like 2016.
Yeah.
He went off.
I was surprised he won top 10, but not really because
We usually don't see the offensive line guys. Usually are in the 30s, 40s. The really good ones, 30s, 40s. Sometimes maybe you got to see some of them slip up into the 20s. Yeah, there's no offensive line guys. Most of these guys are offense. Then you got Tom Brady, who won a Super Bowl. I think personally he should have been at least in the top 5.
Yeah.
If you're a Super Bowl winning quarterback, especially like Tom Brady, I think you deserve to be, especially since he won his 6th.
But he always, every year he's in like the top 5.
Last year he was number 1, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He probably don't really care about it. Like NFL probably won't put it.
He just wants to win Super Bowl, so win over.
I think we forgot to touch on this. We were starting to talk about quarterbacks. We got thrown off
Yeah.
by something, but back to Patrick Mahomes. When you're MVP, shouldn't you be
Top 2?
top 3?
yeah,
You would think.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
you should be top 3.
If you're MVP, Defensive
You
Player of
should
the
be
Year,
number
top
one.
3.
Number one, number 2.
So I definitely
Top 2.
did not agree with
Yeah.
Drew Brees being over Patrick Mahomes. Drew Brees had a sound. They both reached their conference.
I think they were 1 and 2 in MVP voting, so.
But if you're MVP, you got to be in the top 3. And I just don't see Drew Brees being in the top 3, in my opinion. Maybe at the 3rd spot, instead of Khalil Mack, but Patrick Mahomes got to be in the top 3.
Yeah, to be honest, the order to me, it should go MVP, defensive MVP, and offensive MVP. That's how it should go top 3.
Okay, but what if it would have been one of those years, which we haven't seen since, I believe, Lawrence Taylor in 1986, when the Defensive Player of the Year won the MVP, which could have happened this year with Aaron Donald. It could have happened a few years
Still would have
back
been number 1.
with J.J. Watt.
It still would have been number 1.
So you got to move somebody else. All right, so I guess we could just talk about because we each made a list of our top 10 people that we chose in our personal top 10. So, David, what are your top 10 players in your opinion?
Number 10, Todd Gurley. I mean, he had a great regular season.
But he was only running back, so he's
Yeah.
ahead of, well, he don't know to play, but he's ahead of guys like Ezekiel Elliott and Alvin Kamara, so.
He had 17 touchdowns, the most of all running backs. But playoffs, he didn't perform well. He had knee injuries. He only got one carry in the Super Bowl, which is kind of shocking. Yeah, he did.
Just hurt.
C.J. Anderson.
Yeah.
He took over. He was doing it too. But it was a defensive game, so we came down to defense.
Number 9, Von Miller. He had a great season. He had 14 and a half sacks. I mean, that's amazing for an outside linebacker.
Yeah, he has had a lot more sacks in his previous years, though.
Yeah.
And I thought he had I don't want to say quiet, but I didn't hear his name as much this year as I did the year before that, and so on and so forth.
I mean,
But he's had a great year.
maybe because his team didn't make a pass.
Okay, yeah, that has to do with it. Okay, so who's your number 8 spot?
J.J. Watt. He had an amazing comeback season. In my opinion, he's showing comeback player of the year over Andrew Luck. But at my number 7, I have Antonio Brown. At number 6, I have Khalil Mack, which was number 3 in the original rankings. Number 5, I have a receiver, and it's DeAndre Hopkins.
Wow, so he slipped into your top 5.
I mean, if you don't drop a pass all year, that's amazing for a receiver. I mean, I've never even heard of somebody do that.
Exactly. That's a great feat.
And then here come the quarterbacks. Number 4, I have Tom Brady. He had a down year from the year previous to that. He had 11 interceptions, but in the end, he still ending up winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that's still amazing. Number 3, I have Drew Brees. I think he got the most passing yards of all time, right?
Yes, he surpassed that record this year.
I mean, if it wasn't for that bone call, which I'm not going to get into, he would have made it in the Super Bowl. But
Yeah, let's not get into that because I have some mixed feelings about that.
number 2, I have Patrick Mahomes. He's the MVP, so he should either be number 1 or number 2. I have him number 2. He led the league in touchdowns. He had the second most passing yards behind Ben Roethlisberger.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, Pittsburgh.
Okay, my number 1, I agree with the list, the top 100. It's Aaron Donald. I mean, 20
And
sacks.
defensive player of the year,
Yeah.
20 and a half sacks.
20 half sacks out of
From an
defensive.
interior lineman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the most ever at interior? I'm pretty sure.
Well, it probably would be
Because
so.
Michael Straczynski and
Yes. Yeah, he has
Yeah.
a record, and then Mark Gastineau, number 99 for the New York Jets in the late 70s and 80s. He had the record prior. And then Michael
Aaron
Strahan.
Donald, I mean, his team didn't win Super Bowl, but he had such a great year that I had to put him at number 1.
Mm-hmm. So such a dominant, one of
Yeah.
the most dominant years we've seen in a long,
If
long
he keeps
time.
on going like this, he might be top 5 defensive player of all time. But
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay, so Aiden, what is your top 10?
My top 10 is when we start
Start from 10, yeah.
10. I got Von Miller at number 10, J.J. Watt at number 9, Antonio Brown at 8, Alvin Kamara at 7, and DeAndre Hopkins at 6. Top 5 is still the same from the NFL list. I agree 100% with them.
Really?
wait, what's Tom Brady at? If you agree with the top 5, then Tom Brady's not going to even be in the whole thing. And the
Tom
top 10.
Brady's not top 5.
No, but he's
No,
saying
I'm saying if you keep the top 5,
if you keep the top 5, you're saying Tom Brady's not
number
the top
6.
10.
So he's not going to be in the top 10?
No. Maybe 11, but not 10.
Okay. So he was just trying, because I was wondering the same thing. We were just wondering if you were saying that Tom Brady's not a top 10 player.
Oh, no, he's a
Yeah.
top 10 player. He's a top 10.
So where is he on your list?
He's not on my. He's a top.
He's top 11.
He's top 11. He's top 11, bro. He's not top 10.
So he's
on
right
my
there.
list. My list is
Okay,
very.
so-
you can't really go off of me because my list is very biased. I do not like Tom Brady.
So Super Bowl winning quarterback at 42.
It's not on my list.
Okay.
Okay. Caleb, what is your
Yeah.
top 10? I know, it's kind of, yeah.
Let's see that list.
Start from 10, right?
Yeah, it can't be no worse than his, so.
Come on, bro. At 10, I got Saquon Barkley. At 9, Patrick Mahomes. 8, Drew Brees. 7, Alvin Kamara.
Mm-hmm.
6, Jalen Ramsey. 5, I have Odell, OBJ. Number 4, I got Antonio Brown. Number 3, Aaron Donald. 2, Tom Brady. things that rookies shouldn't do in the NFL.
They say they should do. They could do it.
And they could, but
He proved to him. I can see that. You know.
I have one
Okay.
question for you. You didn't put Patrick Mahomes in the top 5 or Drew Brees in the top 5. What's your reasoning on that?
I don't know. If you're the
Yeah.
MVP, you should be in the top spots. So if you're
Now, that's
saying
just-
Patrick
I'm
Mahomes
just
is in the
wondering.
right.
So
Why did you put Deion?
Yes.
I messed up, fool. I was just like putting him down.
Oh, so it wasn't in any
It's
particular.
not like I was just going through them. I didn't really like go through.
Okay, so your top 10 wasn't necessarily ranked. It was more
as a
as a whole. Like these guys that I just named are the top 10 players
In the NFL.
in the league. These are the 10 best guys. That's what you were going for.
No order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
Okay.
much.
okay. I can see.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I can see that. And a lot of those guys are very athletic
Yeah,
and gifted.
right.
So yeah.
Yeah. All right, now let's hit that trash list.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 1, been on this for not playing. Number 10, I have J.J. Watt. Like Diego said,
Yeah.
phenomenal comeback here. Had a statistically great defensive season. Number 9, Von Miller. Got to put Von Miller in there. He's always been a terror on the outside.
Yeah.
Got to put him in there. Great player. Future Hall of Famer. Number 8, got to go with DeAndre Hopkins. Phenomenal receiver, no drops. Really set him in for me instead of Julio Jones, which I will tell you guys, Julio Jones and Aaron Rodgers did not make it in my top 10.
Yeah.
I did not put them in there. And number 7, I did put Antonio Brown. I know you might get upset with this, but I do not think DeAndre Hopkins has hit that Antonio Brown. I don't think
He
gone.
hasn't. I'm not upset that he hasn't.
Yeah, I don't think he's gone to that next level.
He is though.
He's going to. He's
right there.
So yeah, with 7, I got Antonio Brown, who led the league in touchdowns, like Diego said. And number 6, I got Todd Gurley, one of the best, if not the best, running back in
You
the league.
said DeAndre Hopkins is not up there with Antonio.
No, I said he is, but I don't think he's reached that level to where he's past Antonio Brown. Because Antonio Brown's off. He's had 6 straight 100 reception seasons.
But look at the quarterbacks though. Texas never really had a good quarterback like Devontae.
So no, yeah, but that's why he
I
hasn't.
know Deshaun Watson only been there for what, 2 years?
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying this year. I don't think he's going to. He's going to, but he hasn't reached that Antonio Brown. In my opinion, he hasn't reached that level as Antonio Brown.
He just got a good quarterback, so he's on his way.
And then number 6, Todd Gurley. One of the best, if not the best, running back in the league. Phenomenal year. Over 1,200 plus rushing yards. A league leading 17 rushing touchdowns. Great year. Of course, a lot of fans and people, analysts and sports people, whatever, were upset with Todd Gurley's performance in the Super Bowl, but he was injured. So yeah, that kind of affected his sort of persona. I don't know if that's the right word, but anyway, number 5, Khalil Mack, one of the best defenders in the league, one of the best defenders we've had in the league for how long is he? He's only been playing for about what, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Terror. The dude's a stud. He's great off the edge. Yeah, I have him at number 5. At number 4, I have Drew Brees, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I do hope he wins the Super Bowl though.
Again.
I mean, besides the Steelers, he really needs to win a Super Bowl coming up because it's going to look so much better. A guy with 1 Super Bowl doesn't look as impressive with 2, but a lot of guys have 2. And I think another Super Bowl will put him next to that like legendary level. Anyway, number 3 got Tom Brady, Super Bowl winning quarterback. He won his 6th Super Bowl title, and he tied the Steelers with the most Super Bowls by a franchise with 6. So yeah, I put him at number 3. At number 2, I put Patrick Mahomes. You're the MVP. You got to be at least at number in the top 3. So at least at number 3, 2, or 1. Patrick Mahomes had a phenomenal year, league leading 50 touchdowns. The dude's insane.
Second year too. He's gonna get this. Keep on getting better and better.
The way he plays the game, the plays he creates, the things that he does, it's so entertaining, and he's one of those players that he's a must watch.
Yeah.
Exactly, must watch. And the game with the Chiefs versus Rams on Monday Night Football, there's going to be so many more games like that because Patrick Mahomes is that type of player to where whenever he plays, the other team's going to be playing the best that they can, and he's going to be making plays. It's just going to be so entertaining to watch. And number 1. Tyreek Hill, which we didn't even mention today. He's a top receiver in the league.
Yeah, he's a top receiver, not.
I like to watch him.
overall. I like to watch him.
And then at number 1, Aaron Donald, which I don't think he was the only one that didn't. You put Aaron Donald number 1, didn't you? You were the only one that didn't. Or you?
I mean, his list.
Yeah, sorry. See, I put Aaron Donald number 1. I put defensive tackle, and it's not easy
To get 20 and a half sacks.
Yeah, to get sacks
That's
in
something.
general. And he made 20 and a half of them. And the thing that made he had 41 hits on a quarterback. That's 41 hits right before, right after the ball is thrown. So if you count that up, he's had 61 and a half hits on quarterbacks this year, which is crazy in my opinion. 25 tackles for loss. But you can't beat that. He's Defensive Player of the Year, and in my opinion, the best player in the NFL right now. Guys, that's going to pretty much do it for this video. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. It's been Diego. It's been Caleb Weaver. It's been Aiden Wilson. It's been CJ. I'm gonna put all of our Twitter handles into the description, Instagram kind of stuff, all that stuff. Mateo's back there. Mateo, come to the camera. Yeah, there's his hand, the editor guy. I always say that because you guys show Mateo love. He's a very important part of Cinco Splash. So yeah, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Please hit that share button, guys. Share, and please comment your opinion below on whether or not our top 10 list you agree with, whether you disagree, whether you agree with the NFL's top. If you want, you can put your top 10 list in the comments below. So yeah, that's it, guys. See you. Oh, hey, wait, before we get a shout out to the Go Football.
Yeah.
Let's go. We already know Georgia Village. We're coming, boys. All right, guys. Peace.